Monongah in West Virginia, USA, is a small town that recorded the worst mining disaster in the United States on the 6th of December, 1907. This was a normal weekday's work for the miners regulating Monongah number 6 and 8 mines. Both of these mines were connected, hence shared a door for the easy transportation of coal. They strolled along the bank of the West Fork River, which passed through town, before trudging down steep entrances into darkness, illuminated only by their miners' torches. Monongah's mines were among the most productive in West Virginia, with these two in particular producing 2,500 tons of coal each day. Both were managed by the Fairmont Coal Company, one of the world's largest mining companies. But in the morning, at about 10:30, there was a violent blast that shook the surface of the earth. The explosion itself was rather strong. One could feel it even miles away, and needless to say, people who were in the building right when it happened panicked and fell into a frenzy, realizing something terrible had happened. The Norfolk and Western Railway was established in 1883, providing access to the mostly unexplored coal fields of southern West Virginia. New settlements sprouted up in the region almost overnight, as European immigrants and African Americans from the South flocked to southern West Virginia in search of a living from the new industry. By the late 19th century, West Virginia, now a national coal production leader, had fallen well behind other major coal-producing states in terms of mining regulations. In addition to bad economic conditions, West Virginia has the highest mine-related fatality rate of any state. Monongah mines, as other coal mines in West Virginia, went down to several hundred feet and were substantially complex, with numerous interconnecting tunnels and shafts. These mines were designed to extract coal deep into the ground. This required complex tunnel-like structures to be established, and these could be fatal and complicated in case of an explosion or a collapse. The number 6 and number 8 mines in Monongah were slope mines, which involved digging slanted tunnels into the exterior rock to reach the subterranean coal. This sort of mine frequently begins near the bottom of valleys, where coal is closer to the surface, a basic fact of topography that does not always equate to safe for mining. Just before 10:30 a.m. on that unfortunate day, miner J.H. Leonard was watching 19 mine cars being dragged by wire rope from the number 6 mine. Approximately 38 tons of coal were on board. An iron coupling pin broke, propelling all 19 vehicles rearward. Moments later, the mouth of number 8, its companion mine, was on fire. Although the exact cause of the explosion was never discovered, some theorized that the explosion was the result of methane coming into contact with the naked flame, which in turn ignited the coal dust which was present in the mine. The explosion that occurred was so powerful that it sent debris flying out of the mine entrance. As a consequence, it damaged the mine's ventilation chambers and caused many tunnels to fall. With the ventilation impaired, with dangerous levels of carbon monoxide, hazardous gases within the underground passages began quickly accumulating. The 10-ton, 30-foot-tall fan outside the entrance of the number 8 mine had been blasted free from its concrete moorings by the explosion. That meant there was no way to provide fresh air to any of the trapped miners, and there was no method to remove dangerous fumes from the mine. The miners were trapped deep within the Earth's surface, with little to no chance of escape. Near the entrance of number 6, they discovered the destroyed mining vehicles around 300 feet down. They also discovered that every last canary had died, indicating that a toxic combination of coal dust and methane was still present in the air. Men searching for survivors in the mines lacked the necessary equipment to breathe fresh air. The United States did not permit the use of respirators for mining until 1919. Every man inside the mine has his name written on a wooden board at the entrance to the building. The board turned to ash and dust. Blows from flying debris affected workers and smashed their ankles. A 15-year-old boy named Charles Honecker was blown from the number 8 mine, opening right into the river. The Consolidation Coal Company shut down all their operations and evacuated all the mines that weekend and sent 20,000 miners to apparently rescue some trapped miners, but it was already too late. Search and rescue efforts were performed immediately after the occurrence of the disaster. However, they were conducted in conditions of great danger. Heat, thick smoke produced by burning coal, gases such as carbon monoxide and hydrogen, and the chaos which ensued as a result of the explosion ensured that the miners remained locked up for several days. The complex structure was a challenge towards the rescue effort, and many casualties took place during the Monongah mining accident. Due to a lack of qualified on-site rescue experts, rescue operations were slow-paced and mostly comprised of other miners from the surrounding districts. However, few expected anybody would live due to the obstruction of the air shafts. However, the level of destruction could not be concealed any longer as days went by, though the rescue groups showed great acts of heroism and determination. Unfortunately, the Monongah mining disaster killed 362 miners, which left behind families that were torn apart and a community crushed. The volunteer rescuers found corpses. One person was holding a pencil and paper. Another, in the middle of dinner, was still holding a spoon. Another was discovered with the handkerchief in his right hand, suggesting that he was attempting to cover up his mouth and nose. Other victims were discovered torn open, ruptured by the power of the explosion. The death toll in Monongah, along with the tragedy, prompted the mining business to rectify its status. This occurrence occurred as a result of a lack of adequate infrastructure, such as water, to reduce coal dust in the air. The occurrence exposed the need for the development of effective and stricter safety measures, as well as a favorable miner environment. The management of the calamity led to the creation in 1910 of the U.S. Congress Bureau of Mines in order to be engaged in research and disseminations of safer mining techniques. This was an important step towards improving mine safety and avoiding other disastrous accidents in the future. This incident left a profound impact on the local community. The Monongah neighborhood was radically changed in a single strike. Out of 30 houses on one street, 27 had no male remaining in them. A number of these miners were Italians who had migrated to the area, and the loss of their lives affected their families, as well as the life in the town. Tributes were built to pay respect to the deceased, and this has been followed by a regular reminder of that fatal day as a way of upholding the challenges of overcoming miners. Despite the loss of almost 300 individuals, government safety safeguards were not enacted until 1969, when another mine explosion killed 78 more lives. Following the explosion at Monongah, 3 additional large mine catastrophes followed, forcing the final month of 1907 to be termed Black December. In total, 3,241 American miners were murdered on the job that year, the most in a single year in the country's history. Despite such horrible catastrophes, many mining enterprises like Monongah continued to disregard established safety standards, such as utilizing open candles instead of shielded lights, using inexpensive dynamite instead of regulated explosives, and ignoring methane gas detection tests. Such approaches were already being used in Europe. Congress enacted substantial measures in response to the national uproar over the Monongah and other mining catastrophes. In 1908, President Theodore Roosevelt proposed establishing a government organization to investigate mining accidents, educate accident avoidance, and perform mine safety research. 2 years later, the Bureau of Mines came into being. The Mine Safety and Health Administration took another 8 years to develop. Today, the federal agency implements the terms of the Mine Act of 1977. The act includes 2 crucial provisions. Underground mines must undergo 4 safety inspections per year, and mine rescue teams must be available for all underground mines, requirements that may have saved lives at Monongah. Although coal mining is sometimes considered a relic of the past, it has been the backbone of American energy for far longer than most people realize, and it continues to contribute significantly to the country's economic strength today. Demand for coal increased in the 1950s and 1960s, when thriving American communities sought a dependable, low-cost fuel supply and increasingly turned to electricity. From the late 70s to the first decade of this century, coal provided more than half of all electric power in the United States. In reality, only 15 years ago, American coal mining peaked at 1.2 billion tons per year. However, despite being the initial important laborers, coal miners were frequently mistreated. For most of the industry's history, safety concerns were neglected. These circumstances, among others, contributed to disasters such as the fatal mine explosion at Monongah. Few could have predicted the magnitude of the disaster at Consolidation's No. 6 and No. 8 mines. The history of West Virginia is inextricably related to the history of coal. In 1883, over 5,000 miners extracted more than 3 million tons of coal from the earth per year. By 1907, about 44,000 miners worked the coal fields of West Virginia, extracting more than 44 million tons per year. A mine's air is merciless. In addition to naturally existing methane gas, small particles of coal dust collect merely by mining, and according to rakes, the dust poses just as big of a safety danger as methane. Miners brought caged canaries with them to monitor for dangerous air gas accumulation. If the bird died, miners knew they needed to leave immediately. Coal mining remains a risky career. Coal dust is also explosive when suspended in the air. It combines with oxygen within the confines of a mine. All that is required for it to burn is an ignition source. The number of deaths per year has decreased from hundreds in the 1980s to dozens in the last decade, owing in part to better government safety standards for miners and increased mechanization of the coal business. Despite increased production, fewer miners were needed in the second part of the 20th century. According to the state's Office of Miners' Health, Safety, and Training, there are expected to be slightly over 10,000 individuals operating in underground coal mines in West Virginia. These miners continue to dig underground every day, lights on, backs bent, extracting the black rock that contributed to American industrial might, and at times, battling the same deadly fumes that killed Monongah's workers more than a century ago. When discussing the Monongah mining catastrophe, it is vital to honor the memories of the brave miners who perished on that day. Their real-life experiences demonstrate how industrial growth comes at a high cost, and the critical need for safety regulations in all vocations. We must never forget this and guarantee that no one loses their life in order to create a safer working environment. Thank you for accompanying us on our journey to relive the drastic fate that befell Monongah workers. If this story touched you, please give us a thumbs up and kindly share this video, and also subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on our new stories. If you have a story suggestion, feel free to comment down below, and we will see you in the next one.